and welcome to the Enchantress Society with Tia Johnson, a place where you get to be you, where you get to unlock your magic in a sacred and judgment-free zone. The Enchantress Society is your witchy sisterhood of enchanting women who guides and supports you along your spiritual journey from the mundane to the magical. I invite you to sit for a spell as I interview guests and spill the spiritual tea on how we can create the magical life we deserve. Here we are. We're at the Freyja portion of the part 1 Dark Goddess series. Goddess Freyja. Happy Friday, TGIF. Thank Goddess, it's Friday. Friday's named after Freyja. Woo! Lots of good energy here. So if you are just picking up on this series, this is part 1 of the Dark Goddess series where I talk about 5 different goddesses. There are other dark goddesses that I want to cover, and we'll get to them in part 2. So far, we have discussed the Morrigan, Hecate, and then we're at Freyja. Then we have Lilith and Inanna, and that's it. Quite the bunch. All right. Also, a few notes. And kind reminders, especially if you've been following the other 2 episodes. Dark Goddess, when I say that, I am referencing what the goddesses deal with. So these are the goddesses that are dealing with things like death, transformation, protection, rebirth, prophecy, and shadow work. And death in the sense of, closing a chapter in your life, ending a friendship, a relationship, a job, when you have another job lined up, so you have that coverage. And the understanding of new beginnings. It's such as when you start something new, but within that same category. Sometimes people think new beginnings, isn't that redundant? It doesn't mean the same thing. Well, there are beginnings where you're starting something that's completely new, completely fresh, unbeknownst to you, like just new. It's completely new to you. And then there are other things that are new, but within the same category. For example, maybe you are learning something new about financial planning. You know enough about finances, and yet now you're learning something new. Same category, but a new aspect. So new beginnings to your financial planning. Okay. So this is what the goddesses work with, help us with, all that jazz. And, these are the things that are a little bit, that are heavier. They're dark. Okay. Shadow work, it's dark. Transformation is dark. I gave the example in one of the episodes of a caterpillar and the in a cocoon. Cocoon. In a cocoon. Okay, it's dark in there. And then the caterpillar breaks through. It's a butterfly. There's light. So there's a lot of darkness. Okay. And it's heavier. Not saying that what the other goddesses deal with aren't heavy, deep issues as well. But as I stated in the previous episodes, some things are more accepted than others. For example, self-love. Is that a deep topic? Absolutely. It can be triggering for some people, but that is more accepted than shadow work. Right? Just the thoughts like, ooh, shadow work, that's going to get deep. But self-love really does lead to shadow work when you think about it. So things like that. working with money, that's a little bit more well received than working uh, with your thoughts and sex magic. So your thoughts about sex and sex magic. Sometimes it's easier to talk about magic for money than it is about that. So it really depends. So that's where we're at with that. This has nothing to do with black or white magic that does not exist. That's completely made up. Dark magic, light magic, good magic, bad magic. There's no such thing as how the person chooses to use the magic. It has nothing to do with, like I said, light or dark. That's made up. That's not real. It has nothing to do with skin complexion or anything like that. It's just where the goddesses operate, and it's normally in the shadows or somewhere dark, somewhere where it's deep. It's rough. All right. So let's get into who Freyja is, how we can work with her, why we should work with her. And, I pulled an oracle card. So Freyja is also one of my favorite goddesses. I talked about her in my first book. So definitely check it out or revisit that section or sections, I should say, rather. All right. Freyja is a Norse goddess of love, fertility, and sex. Okay. She is also the goddess of war, witchcraft, and death. She is the goddess of witches, and her magic is powerful. Freyja is as complex as the next dark goddess and will teach you how to shapeshift, divine with runes, and explore your shadow side. So you're starting to see a pattern here where these goddesses work directly with witches. Shape shifting is involved, divination is involved, and of course, there's shadow work. It's like the cornerstone. So even now, just feeling Freyja's energy, it is just intense. It's like, okay, you're ready, I'm here. And that's the thing with all these goddesses, the dark goddesses, is that it's not a time to be coddled. When you work with some of the other goddesses for empathy and love, you may be coddled just a little bit, and that's okay. Sometimes we need that extra warmth and love and attention. That's totally fine. And then there are times where we need that tough love. That girl, if you don't put yourself out there, if you don't do what you were meant to do and stop playing, type of tough love. All right. It ebbs and flows, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm going to add the links, my resources, in the description of this episode. So also, Freyja name means lady. Okay. And I do not know how to pronounce every single one of these words. Do not worry about it when you go to these pages and you don't know how to pronounce a word. You can always go to YouTube and type how to pronounce and spell that. So I'm not going to even bother to butcher these names, but I'm on NorseMythology.org. Okay. And it states here her husband, named ODR, in late Norse literature is certainly none other than Odin. And accordingly, you're saying here that Freyja is identical with Odin's wife, Frigg. So they have a whole discussion about that because some people believe that there are two different goddesses and others believe that they are one and the same. That's a conversation for another day. All right. It also states here what I said a few moments ago. Freyja is famous for her fondness of love, fertility, beauty, and fine material possessions. And because of this, she does get a bad rep of being a party girl, and that's another thing too. With these goddesses, they have bad reps, or they've been given a bad rep in some way, shape, or form because they're misunderstood. Really is the key. Some people don't want to understand, and others it's just a misunderstanding. And as you go through this journey, it is super important that you keep your center, and you know what your center is, okay? Because there will come a time where you're going to have to stand your ground, where you're going to be misunderstood. And that can create very easily a little crack in the wall where you start to doubt yourself. Okay, so just keep that in mind. People are going to call you names whether you live out your purpose or not. So you might as well take the chance to live out your purpose and totally be you. So she gets the nickname of Party Girl, because she is in tune with her sexuality and she pretty much has sex when she feels like it, with whoever wants to have sex with her. And so it states here, Loki accuses Freyja of having slept with all the gods and elves, including her brother. She is certainly a passionate seeker of pleasures and thrills, but she's a lot more than only that. Okay, and they have here, she's the practitioner of the most organized form of Norse magic. Okay, and it was she who first brought this art to the gods, by extension, human as well. Okay, giving her expertise in controlling and manipulating the desires, health, and prosperity of others. Uh, she is a being whose knowledge and power are almost without equal. She presides over the afterlife realm, and according to one Old Norse poem, she chooses half of the warriors slain in battle to dwell there. All right. So she's not the one to play with, but work with her so you could be that bad bee as well. Uh, and what I like here too is that Freya, she knows who she is. Okay, she's well aware of that. For example, there's a story of how she achieved getting and gosh, I used to know how to pronounce this word and it just slipped my mind. But the breeze singament, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna spell it Brisingame necklace that she spent the night with four dwarves. So one dwarf a night, and they each gave her a piece of um, a piece that would create the necklace. Some also believe that that represents the four elements: earth, wind, fire, and water. And so it's like this powerful magical necklace. And the story is that she had sex with each of these dwarves. So again, she's someone who is just aware of who she is. Um, some of her correspondences include cats. You're typically going to see her naked. So you might see some nude statues. Um, it's just so funny because I just picture like this strong woman just standing there in all her glory and these two strong cats. Falcons, boars, okay, just anything to do with really love, sex, fertility, beauty. And color wise, it depends on uh, how you want to work with Freya. So you want to work with her for fertility, you may want to use green colors or colors that maybe you associate with a certain gender or just a baby in general. If you want to petition her for love, you can use the color, like the golden color, the rose color, maybe even a color that you associate with love as well. And she may direct you to a color. If you need to fight for something, white and red. Okay, for witchcraft, purple and gray. Okay, so those are just some of the ways you can get tuned into her energy through those wearing those colors. So why work with Freya? Well, because part of our journey here is unlocking ourselves 100%. Okay. So it's not just, oh, I'm going to have a few experiences and then I settle down. it should really be, how do you truly want to live? Okay, don't get psyched into this hyped up American dream, or whatever that dream is that's in your culture, or family that's really being pressed on you, like, oh, why aren't you this, or why don't you have that, and what about this, something that's obsolete. Okay, dealing with that can really hamper our growth sexually, can hamper our growth when we need to fight for something, can hamper our growth when we want to just be surrounded by beauty, right? That's part of it too. Her being a goddess of sex and love and fertility is about setting up that environment for that, appealing to the senses, really having that essence in the air, that sexual essence in the air, that fertility essence in the air, that love essence in the air, right? And you get to determine what that is. What is sexy to you? What's fertility to you? Some women use the yoni eggs. Some women associate fertility with the rabbit, or maybe something from childhood, like a cute little yellow ducky, something like that that represents a child. You may want to have symbols like that in your home. uh as far as love, you may want to buy some flowers for yourself. And this is also examples of how you can work with the goddess Freya. So you get to determine what that looks like for you, but in doing so, call upon Freya to give you the strength and courage to see that through all the way. For example, do you have some sexy lingerie that's been in the cart since forever because you're nervous? You're like, I don't know, and then all these thoughts come up, maybe body image issues, maybe um, the pricing, you're trying to talk yourself out of it because maybe you can find something cheaper, which you probably could, but there's something unique about that in particular, and the list goes on. So ask Freya to give you the strength to back up what you're truly feeling, because you are at war with your feelings, or something society is saying you should be doing, or it can be done the easy way as opposed to the hard way, right? When we have to deal with another thing and another thing and another thing, sometimes we think, you know what, I could have just went the easy and safe route and not excuse me, be dealing with this. But that path is the path towards you getting to your goals and other things. So you're going to stay the course, right? That's why Freya is here to help us own our decisions, to help us own our power, to help us own our sexuality, to help us own our adventure. We get to decide what happens in our lives. People are going to call us names. So what? So what? We can't control that. They're silly people anyway, because they're busy worrying about all the greatness you're doing instead of being inspired by it. Okay. So we talked about her associations, why to work with her, how to work with her. I said, flowers, and I would just direct it to say flowers, the red roses, and things like that. And so the oracle card that popped up here is healing. And it's a woman with her eyes closed. She has a flower crown, a white flower crown. There are some potion bottles behind her, or maybe alcohol bottles, like wine. She's holding the candles, a green candle, and the wax is dripping, and she's unbothered. She has a halo around her a little bit, like she's in her own bubble. She's in a very serene place. So, what I'm getting from this card is healing on all fronts, healing sexually, healing, and that's multiple, um not layers, but what's the word I'm looking for? There's the sexual healing, as in enjoying sex, uh letting those energies flow. And, as you are climaxing to or orgasming, you can use that sex magic where you are imagining what you want to bring into your life, your desires, you're visualizing it just as you're at that point. And then there's the healing from a sexual, issue, concern, maybe something that happened. So that's two meanings. It's what I'm trying to say here. And I'm getting messages as I'm talking, so that's why I'm sounding a little choppy, because this goddess is saying, make sure you explain the two sides. Okay. So it's those two forms of healing. And then there's the love. So there's the healing how you loved yourself previously, because some of you are thinking, oh, I thought I was loving myself, but that wasn't love. And so don't beat yourself up. It's an understanding now. Okay. It's, one of those things like once you know more, you can do better, and it's okay. Right. You were working with the information you had at that time. This is also healing to allow yourself to love yourself, a healing moment when you realize you are the person that you needed. And it's like, wait, what? Like, okay, wow, that's pretty awesome. So it's just really allowing yourself to give yourself space to love yourself. So that's a healing process within itself. Okay. So what Freyja is saying here is allow yourself to heal on multiple fronts so you can really honor your sexuality, the way you want to love, uh, how you combat things, all that jazz. Because once you're able to honor that, then people will be able to honor you better, because now you're setting a precedence of not only am I saying this is how I want to be treated, but this is how I'm actually living my life. I'm walking when I'm talking, I'm walking the walk, I'm not just talking a talk. And, this is what life's going to be like going forward. And then it's this very strong standpoint. And I'm just also, she's saying to practice your posture. So practice the Wonder Woman stance, practice stances that make you feel strong. So, for example, one thing I used to do is if I was taking a picture with people who were shorter than me, I would lean in a little bit, because I would think, oh man, that's kind of messed up. Like it's going to be uneven the photo, like all these crazy thoughts are just coming in my head, just like lean in so that way it looks better. I don't know what I was thinking, but it just came off really awkward where I look like I'm just hunched over. And it's really one of those things of the what you imagine versus reality. So I just had to remember, stand up straight. Okay, it's not going to ruin the picture. All right, just do you, be in your zone. And the pictures came out so much better. I was the one ruining the pictures. So what I'm saying is practice your stances, practice your posture, and, take up space, but also know that it's okay for you to stand with your shoulders broadened, and your chin held up high and your arms swinging. Like it's so okay for you to take up space. It's okay for you to have that stance that let people know that, you're that woman. You have arrived. I'm just just getting really tell them about the stances. Tell them about this. So please practice your posture and your stances. That's huge. And then some cats start coming up to you more. That's Freyja letting you know that you're on the right track. All right. That's what I have for you, Enchantress. Continue doing the work. You're doing great things, but your posture, your stances, that's something that you really need to focus on. Okay. Especially for a lot of us who've been home, we've been on the couch, probably slouching, so let's get back into our stances. All right. I'm sending you lots of love, many blessings. I can't talk. Blessings. I am rooting for you. So make sure that you take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and I will talk to you next time.
Thank you so much for tuning in, Magical One. Let's keep in touch. Join the VIP email list by going to tiamariejohnson.com. And as always, I'm sending you lots of love, many blessings. I'm rooting for you. And remember to be kind to yourself. Until next time.